Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar presented by Cosvox. Today we're going to talk about all things on planning a successful Giving Tuesday campaign. It's months ahead, but you guys are taking the first steps to be able to think well about this. And that's something we consistently see across fundraisers. The first step to success is planning early. We're going to dive into that and much more as we get into today's presentation. But just to introduce myself, my name's Noah Barnett. You probably know me just from email and seeing me invite you to this webinar, but I run marketing here at Cosvox and also spent 6 years working for an international humanitarian nonprofit running fundraising, doing marketing, and looking at how do we actually grow the number of donors we're engaging with, how do we increase the funding we have. And so I've been in your seat as a fundraiser and was actually one of the early Cosvox customers for the first 5 years of Cosvox. So just a little overview of what we're going to dive into today, but a little housekeeping first. If you have any questions throughout today's webinar, feel free to drop those in the questions pane, or you can tweet them out on Twitter. If you learn anything insightful and just want to celebrate the tip, feel free to share that as well. A few other notes is that we will be recording this presentation, and I'll be sending you the recording and the slide deck after today's presentation. So you'll probably receive that tomorrow morning so that you can review it, you can dive into it, you can maybe look at some of the key learnings that we had, and you can even share it with your team, share it with your boss, or share it with your board. We want to make sure you have all the resources you need to be successful and leverage this global day of giving. So this is just a little roadmap of where we're going, set some expectations so that you know how we're going to spend our time together over the next 30 to 45 minutes. First, we're going to talk about why Giving Tuesday is important, what it is, how you can really tap into it, and what it's kind of turned into, which has actually made it difficult, but also still created great opportunities. The second thing we're going to talk about is how can I really stand above the noise? Giving Tuesday has been going on for a while, and so a lot of feedback we receive is, hey, I want to participate. It sounds like a great idea, but there's just so much noise. The third thing we're going to talk about today is really steps to plan a successful campaign. We're going to walk you through a quick framework that really talks through that, and it's going to be helpful for you as you think through the various things you need to do as you think well about planning your campaign. Lastly, as with all of our webinars, we're going to have a live Q&A. And so you'll be able to ask your questions directly that you need a little bit more clarity on or didn't get to throughout the webinar. And then for those that are interested, Rob, our CEO at Cosvox, is going to come on and give a live product demo for those that might be interested in actually turning today's learnings about Giving Tuesday into action using Cosvox's online fundraising tool. So here at Cosvox, we don't only create educational tools like this webinar, but we also have an online fundraising tool that allows you to easily create, manage, promote all your fundraising campaigns, especially Giving Tuesday, without more staff or increasing your budget, which I know is so important for nonprofits that have small teams and small budgets. Additionally, Cosvox is perfect for any type of fundraising campaign, but specifically for Giving Tuesday, it really allows you to create a mobile optimized donation page, all customized for your Giving Tuesday campaign, allows you to have that dedicated landing page that you can direct people to. You can tap into the power of peer-to-peer fundraising, which is what we're going to talk a little bit about today as well. And you can just streamline your online fundraising, whether it's for Giving Tuesday, for your year-end fundraising campaigns, your annual campaigns, whatever fundraising you're doing, Cosvox can really help you do that online well, and also streamline the back office stuff, which no one really wants to do, and really give you more time to spend with your donors. So let's dive into today's content. What is Giving Tuesday and why is it important? So before we do that, what I would love to know is how many of you have actually participated in Giving Tuesday? A little poll popped up on your screen. I would love to know kind of who I'm talking to. Have you ever participated? Did you run one last year? Or really you just have never participated before? It would be really helpful to know that so I can customize the content to you guys. Wow, actually pretty unexpected. More than 60% of everyone on today's webinar has not participated in Giving Tuesday, and this year would be their first. And then another 25 or so percent ran one last year, and then the minority, but also incredible, some of you have been running campaigns for a few years now. We're going to try to provide some value for those that have never run a campaign, those that really want to optimize and increase the value of their campaign from last year, but also those that have run campaigns year over year. Hopefully some of the tips and advice that we've learned over the years will be helpful as you think well about your campaign. So let's dive into it. So in 2016, just to give some stats of how big this one-day global giving day is. So if you don't know what Giving Tuesday is, once a year, this was kind of created by an organization that really wanted to say, hey, there's days where we have, we buy stuff online, like Black Friday. There's other holidays that are for specific causes. But what about just rallying a bunch of people together to give to the charitable cause of their choice in one day? And last year, this movement has grown incredibly over the past few years. Is 1.6 million gifts were given to charitable causes participating in Giving Tuesday. Incredible opportunity. And I believe, don't quote me on this, or you can, but no, it may be wrong. It's either the second or third largest giving day of the year. So obviously, last day of each year, just because of tax season and whatnot, is the largest giving day. But outside of this is the biggest collective giving day across not only the US or Canada or Australia or Europe, but the world. This is an incredible day. And last year, $177 million was raised online by causes participating in Giving Tuesday. So for the 60% of you that haven't participated, this is a huge opportunity for you to rally your community or inspire your community to say, hey, we are together because we believe that this change that we're fighting for matters in our world. Let's do this together in partnership around the world with tons of other people that are supporting the causes that they love and cherish and feel a bond to. And so this is a great opportunity for you to capitalize on kind of the larger movement where society is, people throughout the world are saying, hey, like, I want to do something on this day. And then you can give your supporters in your community, those people that are passionate about your cause, an opportunity to participate as well. And if you don't, someone else is. And so that's why Giving Tuesday, some say, oh, I'm not going to participate, it's too crowded. However, your supporters that love and cherish the cause that you're working on, this is an opportunity for you to give them that opportunity to participate. So it doesn't have to be extravagant, it doesn't have to be anything large, but you do have to show up because your supporters want to support the cause that you're fighting for. And if you don't prompt them and participate, you're going to be missing out, and they might go somewhere else. They might go to another organization that's supporting the same cause in a different way. So for those that are interested in knowing the date, this is a big question we get asked, is Giving Tuesday is on November 28th. So this is the Tuesday following Black Friday, and here in the US, Thanksgiving is the week before as well. And then Cyber Monday, which is like an online giving or online shopping holiday. And then basically Giving Tuesday is the next day. And so it's on November 28th, 2017. So this is a date to put in your calendar so that you remember that this is going on so that you can plan ahead. So the big thing about Giving Tuesday is not just that how big the movement is, but that the world we're fundraising in has just fundamentally shifted. So this is a great opportunity, a great day for you to fundraise, but it's really challenging. It's not just challenging because it's Giving Tuesday, but it's challenging because online fundraising in today's kind of rapidly changing all the time environment is just really hard. And this type of environment that we're living in, not only just for Giving Tuesday, but all online fundraising, really requires you as a fundraiser to rethink how you go about fundraising. And as part of the webinar sign up, one of the questions we asked was, what are your biggest challenges? What is frustrating you? What's hard? And time again, we hear the same thing, is that, hey, our traditional fundraising efforts aren't working anymore. What we did, direct response, like that methodology is harder and harder. And the reason it is because the world we live in has changed. People prioritize digital first. People are always connected. Your supporters value relationships and recommendations rather than advertising and emotional asks. And there's just increased competition for attention. So this creates an ecosystem that's really challenging, and especially around Giving Tuesday, because that competition is so loud that you really have to figure out how to navigate around that. And this is something we talk about a lot here at CosVox, but I feel like this quote by Seth Godin, who's a very wise man and provides great resources, not only just for fundraisers, but for marketers and thinkers and nonprofit leaders and executive directors. Says some organizations will thrive from this increased chaos, but some will be unprepared and some will merely fight it and lose. And one of our passions here at CosVox is to really help good things flourish. And we believe the causes that you guys are working on, because you're working on them, matter. And we want to help you lead your organization or lead your team or lead the charge for your cause in a way that you thrive. And so in some ways, this seems like all bad news. Like, okay, I get it, Noah. Like, the world's changed. It's harder to fundraise. Thank you. My job is hard. But the good news is that, especially for the world we live in today, is before it was all about renting attention. And so it was all about purchasing lists, telemarketing, direct mail, TV ads, email blast, direct mail campaigns. And really what this was summed up is the direct response methodology was given to fundraisers as a way to basically, hey, if you can increase your reach, which usually requires budget, you can rent enough attention and you'll get a 3 to 5% response rate. And that was great. And that's how you grew. And that's how you grew. And you see some mega organizations these days. And that's really the playbook they've been running. But unfortunately, that playbook doesn't work as well anymore. The cost of attention is much more. The press on someone's attention is much more. People are diving back, cutting out, and really focusing on personalized feeds. And we have to focus on something different. And so today, it's all about building relationships. So if we look at how it's digital first, it's people prefer recommendations and referrals over advertising. It's really about that relationship with your community. And the great thing as a fundraiser is that you were trained to do this. You were then just given a methodology called direct response that went against everything that you learned as a fundraiser and why you got into this, which was how do we actually build relationships? How do we inspire people, activate them, and rally them to be a part of this movement for the cause that we're fighting for? And so really today's ecosystem actually prioritizes what I believe and we believe and others believe was really the foundation of fundraising, which is building relationships. And so fundraising was never intended to look like this, where you stand on a corner and yell through a microphone and hope someone responds, or buy a bunch of email lists and mail everyone out and hope one person responds. Or, with digital, it was like, hey, let's just blast through email and see what happens, or let's yell at Facebook and see what happens. With what we call here people fundraising, my apologies, a little tongue twister. It's all about being personal, human, and delightful for everyone. So it's how do you inspire a community of people that really care about your cause? And so it's not about convincing someone to care about your cause, but it's finding those individuals that already care about your cause, your community, and inspiring them with stories, with videos, with photos, with appeals that basically explain to them how they can be a part of this and how we together can be a part of this. And then activating them and then rallying them together so that they bring more people, more like-minded people into the fold. And this actually works. Like, there's data that backs this up that says 85% of donors prefer being asked by friends and family to make a donation. And so as we think about Giving Tuesday, I preface this presentation with these thoughts, not because it's something that we believe here at CosVox, but it's something that we've seen play out in our world. If you look at things like Airbnb, things like Uber, things like Amazon, eBay, everything is about kind of friends and family referring each other, recommending things. When was the last time you bought something without at least looking it up to see what the recommendations were on it, or what the star rating was on that? It's all driven by that, and that's because the consumer preferences are moving towards that. And so the Mason Academic Research System did this research study, and they found that 85% of donors prefer being asked by friends and family to make a donation. So you're probably saying, Noah, how the heck does this have anything to do with Giving Tuesday? And it really has everything to do with Giving Tuesday, because Giving Tuesday is a day that's all about giving. And so we can go back to this and you can run the model on the left. That's a traditional Giving Tuesday playbook. Hey, we're going to run a campaign and we're going to blitz as many people as possible, and then hope for the best. That's probably the traditional Giving Tuesday playbook. And what we're going to talk about today in the next 15, 20, 30 minutes is really about the new way that we believe is kind of inspired by people fundraising, and is the way that you run a Giving Tuesday campaign in an environment filled with distractions and people vying for their attention, and when people are cutting back and focusing on their personalized feeds. How do you get in? And so that's where people fundraising comes in, and it's backed up by data. And so I give this kind of new lens because I think it's going to be helpful as we think through the rest of the information on how to go about planning it. It's all about focusing on building trust and loyalty through relationships, not by renting attention, which prioritizes budget and reach. So if you want that and you aren't bought in and you don't see the value in kind of the new way, then the rest of the presentation might not be for you. But those that want to build trust and loyalty and relationships with their supporters in their community, the rest of the presentation is going to be for you, and it's actually specifically designed for that. So one thing we've developed here at CosVox is the idea of the people fundraising methodology. And so this is contrary to the direct response methodology. And so we don't think the direct response methodology works in today's ecosystem, and it never worked for small and medium-sized nonprofits. The advantage was always to the people that had higher budget and higher reach. People fundraising flips that over and basically allows people a new way of fundraising in today's ecosystem. And we're going to apply that to Giving Tuesday in just a minute. But just to walk through this, the goal is to say, hey, we have a community of people that care about the cause. You might know some of them, you might not. But your job as a fundraiser is to inspire people in your community to become supporters. And you do that through storytelling, through social media, through videos, through impact stories, through research, through however you can inspire people to get involved. And then you really focus on activating them. So how do you turn just people that are supporting into fundraisers? So you do this through campaigns like Giving Tuesday, through events, through other types of campaigns you run throughout the year. And then once they become a fundraiser, how do you actually rally them? And so how do you actually turn your support to say, hey, we want to support you and give you the opportunity to advocate for this cause that we're all fighting for, in a way that you can then reach out to your friends, reach out to your family members, and really focus on bringing new people back into the fold. And so that's when you really get advocates who are so passionate about your cause that they're using their personalized personal capital to advocate for your cause. And they're going to increase the value of the community, and they're going to help you bring people back into the fold. So this is the people fundraising methodology. And it's something that here at CosVox, we've been thinking a lot about for like 7 years. And now we feel like this is a good representation of what some of our thinking is. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to kind of dive into how this applies to your thinking and planning for Giving Tuesday. So steps to planning a successful Giving Tuesday campaign. Before we dive into this, just so you know, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to drop those in the questions pane, and we'll get to those at the end. Also, though, just so you know that this presentation will be recorded, and we will send you the slides as well. So if you feel like we went too fast, you're like, wait, that people fundraising thing, like I want to learn more about that. I want to show that to my boss. You will be able to get that and be able to share it with your team and share it with your board. So let's dive in. So steps to planning a successful Giving Tuesday campaign: you need to plan early. You need to inspire and activate your community to join, promote your campaign, and then what to do during Giving Tuesday. So planning for Giving Tuesday really focuses on a few different things. But before you get started, once you kind of see fundraising through the people fundraising methodology, there's 4 questions you need to ask before you even get started. Is what do we want to do? So just because Giving Tuesday is a thing, it's still important for you to know what you want to do. Why are you fundraising? What's your case of support? What is the reason and the why behind what you're doing? And so really defining that, like, what do you want people to do? Why is it important? Do you want them to help you fund a project? Do you want to help reach a new goal that allows you to serve more children in your community? What is it? So what do you want to do? Now, the second is, how much money are you trying to raise? So this is actually directly related to number 1. So what are you trying to do? How much money is that going to cost? And why is that important? The third thing is, what are some other goals that you might have? This could be in the form of, we really want to inspire this many new donors. We really want to get this many people behind our cause. We want to leverage Giving Tuesday as an opportunity for us to expand our email list, to expand our advocates. So you're focusing just on saying, how do we take supporters and turn them into advocates? Those are all types of other goals that you might think through. And then who is in charge of this thing? So I add this one in because it's ironic how many times people don't have a dedicated responsible person to be able to know who's running the campaign, like who's responsible for the success of this campaign. So if that's you, that's great. Make sure your organization knows that. If it's not you, who is it? And what aspects of the campaign are they responsible for? So the second thing you need to do, once you've kind of answered those questions, so you know what you're doing, how much that's going to cost, how much you want to raise, and why that's important, and any other goals, who's responsible for it, you really need to write a compelling fundraising appeal. So when planning your Giving Tuesday campaign, you really have to connect your goals and objectives with your supporters. And this is what a fundraising appeal is really all about. Your appeal will kind of act as that inspiration, your rally cry for your entire campaign. So it has to be good. It's super important to think very strategically about this. Just because you participate in Giving Tuesday doesn't mean that anyone will give to your campaign. So there's a false narrative that says, hey, if I just join in, if I just create a Giving Tuesday campaign, because my organization showed up on the day, people will give to us. That's just not the case. And so you still have to think well about what your appeal is and what you're asking people to do and why. So your fundraising appeal should really appeal to the head, so including educational component, describes impact, direct language that explains what you want from your donor, and the heart, use stories to emotionally connect to your audience. And the reason stories are so important is because that's what's going to inspire your community to get involved. So if we go back to thinking about the people fundraising methodology, you'll see that the biggest part of what you're trying to do is to inspire people in your community that care. So whether that's your localized community or your online community, because your cause is not local, it's not geographically constrained, it's broader than that. And so using stories is really what's going to create that inspiration. And so people are going to get behind this. They're going to want to support your cause. It's no different when you're running a Giving Tuesday campaign. Again, a good story will put a face behind your campaign. It'll draw your supporters in and show the donor how they fit into the story. Stories are what has been connecting humans for a long time. And so you tapping into a story behind your cause is going to be key. So this was an organization that ran a Giving Tuesday campaign on CauseVox a few years ago. And they said, make dreams come true on Giving Tuesday. Double your donations. Donations up to $1,500 will be matched. But they actually talked through this. Like, what does it mean by making dreams come true? Why are dreams important? What makes someone dream? How does that look? And so they had supporting content and an appeal that backed all of that up. The other thing that we think is really important for Giving Tuesday is to secure a matching gift. And so matching grants or matching gifts are sometimes seen as like, if only we could get that. But when I ran fundraising for a nonprofit, we just thought more creatively about matching gifts. So we knew that there was major donors or board members that always supported us every single year. So they were going to give us $500, $1,000, $50,000 every single year because they were committed to our cause and wanted to support it. And what we would do is, if we didn't have a matching gift from a partner or kind of a sponsor type in our local community, we would just go to our major donors and say, hey, we know you're going to gift and we're so grateful for that. Can we use that as a challenge opportunity to inspire our community to get involved? And they never said no. They might say, hey, I don't want to be acknowledged for it. So the matching gift could be anonymous, but they never said no, because for them, they see that that's a good way for them to leverage their gift. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you don't have kind of a partner that you can reach out to or a sponsor that you can reach out to, think through some of the major donors that are going to give to you at year end anyways, and just reach out to them about having their gift actually be leveraged in a new and different way by challenging others through a challenge gift or a matching gift to get involved with your Giving Tuesday campaign. The other thing you want to do is plan your timeline. This is a great thing that Oh, someone said my audio keeps cutting out. Can everyone hear me all right? Great. We're going to keep pushing ahead. Again, it's going to be recorded, so I apologize if some of you are experiencing a little bit audio issues. But we're going to dive forward just so we can continue getting through the content. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to add those to the questions pane. The next thing you want to do to really plan your campaign well is to plan your timeline. So the most successful campaigns have a clear timeline of activities. So you have things you're going to do before Giving Tuesday. You have things you're going to do right before Giving Tuesday, maybe one day before. What are you going to do on the day? Are you going to send an email in the morning? What time are you going to send the email? Who's going to send the email? Really working through some of those details is very important so that you know exactly what you're going to do. And so as part of your plan, you really want to create that timeline that maps out every single activity you as a fundraiser or a fundraising team need to do throughout. And we're going to talk a little bit about, once the campaign's launched, some of the activities you need to do. But this isn't just planning ahead of time, like, oh, we're going to send an email at 6 a.m. and then we're going to hope for the best and pray that everyone comes together. No, like it's also doing other things. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a few minutes. So the next thing you want to do is craft campaign assets that are going to help support your campaign. So once you've determined your goal, you've determined your fundraising appeal, you've really thought through the timeline of how you're going to play your campaign out. You must now create your fundraising campaign site and supporting content needed to drive people to your campaign. So if you've thought about your campaign appeal, do you need photos that back that up, some imagery that really helps explain the campaign to others? Do you need videos? Do you need more stories? So maybe you have an appeal that talks about the impact that school and education has on a community. And so the goal is to help fund a classroom or to help support 50 more kids. So maybe some of the supporting content that you need are more stories about kids that have had the chance to participate in your programs in the past. And you can use those throughout the campaign. And so it doesn't have to be all driven into your appeal, but you can actually use these campaign assets and stories and emails to help drive people back into your campaign and into your fundraising site. So this is just an example of a fundraising site someone created in 2015 on CosVox for Giving Tuesday. And so they said they wanted to raise $5,000. They had a video that really explained the idea of, what do I want to do when I grow up? We've all thought through that. And so they did a campaign all around that because that's what their organization's mission was out to accomplish, providing kids the opportunity to dream and help them make those dreams a reality. They had a matching gift that they were able to help implement, and they knew they were going to run it for one day, and they were able to exceed their goal by more than 20%, which is incredible. So the next question comes is how do you actually promote your campaign? And so we're going to talk through 3 specific ways that you can promote your campaign before. So how do I actually promote my campaign leading up to Giving Tuesday? And during, how do I actually promote my campaign during? We're also going to give you some tips on what you should do on the day to really help drive things forward. And then we'll kind of wrap up. So that's where we're going from here. So we're going to talk about personal fundraising, which is peer-to-peer fundraising. We're going to talk about email marketing. How do you actually leverage email to drive success with your campaign? And how do you use social media to drive success with your campaign? So effective promotion is always going to include, and we've hammered this home, but it's so important, an emotional story, clear impact, an urgent need, a specific ask, and campaign consistency. So throughout all your communication around your Giving Tuesday campaign, and not just Giving Tuesday, but other online fundraising campaigns that you might run, you want to make sure that there's consistency. It's really important to make sure that you're not changing up your asks, changing up the base storyline, the base narrative throughout your campaign. You want to keep that consistent. So we talked a little bit about how the new economy or the new ecosystem that we're fundraising in works, and how you're moving from a direct response methodology to fundraising to a people fundraising. And so the biggest thing that you can do around Giving Tuesday, and if you've never taken advantage of peer-to-peer fundraising, Giving Tuesday is a great opportunity to do that because it's an opportunity for you to try it out and see how it works so that you can leverage it in other fundraising campaigns throughout the year. So basically what a peer-to-peer fundraising really means is, how do we actually inspire our supporters to get involved and get behind our campaign, but not only just to give, but to actually do something about it and to help, to get behind the campaign. And so you have to activate them. And so activating them could mean sharing the campaign. Activating them could be them telling their friends and family about the campaign in other different ways, not just on social. But it also could be them actually joining the campaign and creating their own personal fundraising page like Kristen did. And so what she did was she was able to join this campaign and to tell a story of why she was participating in Giving Tuesday and why this organization mattered to her. So she could actually push that out with a recommendation and a referral to her friends, family, and community. And so how do you actually go about doing this? This is one of the questions we hear a lot is, how do I actually recruit personal fundraisers? And really what it usually does is looking into your community of your supporters and identifying who are the most loyal supporters. So sometimes that's going to be your board members. Sometimes that's going to be longtime supporters. We believe that when you're really thinking through leveraging peer-to-peer fundraising, that is the first place to go. Second, you can reach out to current and most engaged donors. So not just those that are most loyal or have been with you for a while, but those that have just shown that they have an affinity for your cause. They really want to get behind it and they want to help. And so maybe you've only offered them the ability to give in the past or come to an event, but now you can say, hey, on Giving Tuesday, we're going to allow you, we're going to activate you and give you the tools to be able to tell why you care about our organization and the cause that we support, and share that out with your friends, family, and community, and actually raise money on our behalf. Will you do that? And more than often, they've never been asked to do something like that. And so they're very willing and very eager to get behind because they care about the cause. And again, as a fundraiser, you're connecting with people that care and you're giving them the opportunity to kind of respond to the care that they have for that. And so that's really where the activate part of the methodology comes in. The other place to recruit from is from social media. Social media is already designed for people to share and to promote, and they're already connected in that environment. So those are people that are engaging with you on social media tend to be great prospects for peer-to-peer fundraising. The next thing we're going to talk about today is how you actually promote your campaign through email marketing. And so email marketing is way more powerful than people think because it's still a medium that we typically consume, even if we've blocked out other things. So if we don't watch TV anymore, we don't open our mail, email is usually still a tool that most people use. And the return on your investment in email is proven to be 1,000% over and above what you spend. And so it's a great tool to be able to tap into as you're thinking through your Giving Tuesday campaign. So 4 components of a successful email is really the targeting, the subject line, the content, and the call to action. And so really this is all about how do I actually think through who I'm reaching out to in my community through email to invite them to be a part of my Giving Tuesday campaign. So whether that's by sending them a story that's going to inspire them to action and then giving them the opportunity to be activated and become a fundraiser on your behalf, whether it's them giving to your cause through Giving Tuesday, figuring out who you're going to target is key. The second thing is the subject line. And so subject lines are typically ignored or overlooked as an opportunity to really, or as a key success factor to email. And so a lot of people spend hours and hours and multiple drafts on the email copy, but then throw a subject line on it and send it out. And interestingly enough, a subject line is the only thing you see, which is the decision factor of whether I should open this email and engage with it. And so we feel like there's a few different ways that you can successfully invite people in to your emails and actually stand above the noise. And it's by keeping it short, not overusing capital, keeping it interesting, personal, and really personalizing with the donor's name if available. So how do you even invite them? Say, hey, Noah, will you join the peer-to-peer fundraising campaign? Or will you join us? Can we count on you for Giving Tuesday this year? Or we need your help. People usually respond to those types of things. The other thing that I think is key is thinking through who the email comes from. And so what we've seen time and time again is that when you send emails from a person, people are more likely to open it because it's a personal communication channel. And so if something comes in and it's a brand sending me something or a nonprofit's name sending me something, I'm less likely to open that because I know it's not a person on the other end. And I don't feel as much loyalty to opening that. Whereas if someone, like in this case, Vernon, sent me an email, I'm like, oh, who's Vernon? Not really sure, but I'm going to open this email because he needs something from me or he has a question for me. And so using tactics like that are going to be helpful to get your message to resonate through email. Obviously, the next part of your email strategy has to be your email content, using clear call to actions, keeping it simple, and realizing that email is actually not a communications medium in itself, but rather something that's a kind of a transportation vehicle from someone's inbox into your campaign website or into your impact story or to watch your video. And so they really can't do anything for your campaign. They can't be activated inside their inbox. They could be inspired, and so you want to inspire them through the email content. But if they want to be activated, you have to drive them away. So the mistake I've seen is people overutilizing their email to try to explain everything about the campaign, all the logistics, all of that, and realize that people can't take action. And so really what you want them to do is get away from their crowded inbox, move them out of that environment and take them to your page, your landing page, which could be on, you could create on using a site like Cosvox or your website, or to an impact story or to watch a video. And so you really want to use it as a transportation vehicle to get them from their inbox over to your campaign. And again, the call to action, make sure it's very clear, make sure it's action oriented, make sure it's about them, not you. Like, help us. Like, no, like, make sure it's an action that they want to take. Say, I want to match my gift. I want to join this campaign. I want to help build a school. Those are the types of call to actions that you want to include in your emails. The third thing we're going to talk about, and we'll kind of land here, is on social media. So as a lot has changed in the past 15 years, all these channels didn't exist 15 years ago, which is pretty incredible. But the bigger thing here is that more than half of social media users discover social initiatives via social media. And so what this says to me is that if you're not using social media today, or you are, but you really haven't engaged in it, this is a great opportunity for you to connect with people in your community that care about your cause. So that doesn't just mean those that have already liked your page, but rather putting content in there on social media allows people to discover this. And the great thing is during Giving Tuesday, there'll be a Giving Tuesday hashtag. There'll be a lot of chatter around Giving Tuesday. And so people that might not know your specific nonprofit, but care about your cause, can discover who are actually part of your community, but they just haven't discovered you yet, can actually find you. And then in addition to that, 64% of social media users have given $100 or more to nonprofits in the last year. Another big thing we hear is like, how do I actually raise money on social media? And the question, or the answer to that question, is you can't raise money on social media. Social media was never designed for you to raise money on, but rather you can use it to, again, connect to your community, allow people to discover you and discover that you are supporting a cause that they care about. And it allows you to inspire them and draw them out to whether it's your website, your campaign page, your videos, and whatnot, and then activate them there. Social media was never designed as a place where you're going to raise money. And the problem I have when people ask that question is we're applying a direct response methodology to a environment like social media or Facebook or Twitter, however, that isn't compatible. They weren't designed for that. And so by thinking differently and saying, oh, really, how do we connect with our community? How do we inspire them and then activate them outside of social media? You see social media a little bit differently. And so what we see is that the best content is really authentic, it's emotional, it's compelling, interesting, unique, timely, and relevant. So again, thinking about how people are using social media and how you can take your campaign message for Giving Tuesday and translate that into social media, whether it's through videos, whether it's through photos, whether it's through stories, and using that to inspire. Again, see social media as an environment where you can inspire people, which then usually results in sharing or taking action. And if people can help share your message, you're going to be able to increase your community size and inspire more people to get behind your cause on Giving Tuesday. There's a few other opportunities I've included in here, but really only if you've mastered the first few. So you could use social advertising to help boost your campaign. Again, this is just going to be a way for you to share your story further and find those people that care about what you care about, especially on a day like Giving Tuesday. So Giving Tuesday, and even just December in general, is a time when people are primed to give. Statistics back that up, research backs that up. And so what you can do is you can leverage social advertising to connect with people that care about your cause. Again, it's not spamming if you're delivering them a message that they want to see and they want to hear. And so it's not just, hey, you can give or you can do this, but hey, you can be a part of this story. And so again, you can use social advertising in a way that's inspiring. You can use PR and media, you can use partnerships. All of those are great ways to amplify the impact of your campaign. But again, it's only if you've done the proper planning and you've actually leveraged the basic channels first. So I include those in here so that you can see them when you go back and think through how you're going to plan your campaign, and so that you can reference them. So the last thing we're going to talk about today is what you should do during Giving Tuesday. And so this is really about on the day. So your role as a fundraiser. And so if we think about it, if you've done your job, you've planned, you've reached out to your community, you've inspired them to get behind your cause leading up to the day, you've activated them to fundraise like Kristen did for the children's home, and they're all excited, they're ready. So what do you do as a fundraiser during Giving Tuesday? And so the biggest thing we see is that it's your job to keep the momentum going. So a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign, especially one like Giving Tuesday, is not a set it and forget it kind of enterprise. Like once you've launched, you'll need to reiterate your message by sending out regular updates, sharing additional stories, posting updates when you reach your goals, maybe talking about an update when there's a special thing that happens, you hit a milestone, whether that's 50%, and continuing to feed your supporters things that then they can leverage to share out. And again, this is where the rallying comes into play. The next thing you want to do is monitor your campaign. So how do you actually monitor the people that are raising money for you, or monitor the activity of shares going on and help amplify that, help celebrate those that are doing it well, and help those that need a little bit of extra help throughout the day. The other one is supporting your supporters. This is very similar to the other one, but it's how do you actually kind of help those that need the extra push? How do you leverage those that are doing it well and share that information with those that aren't doing it well so that you can help them grow their campaign and reach out to their community? The other thing is connect with your donors sooner than later. So a lot of people are like exhausted by this point. They run their campaign and they're like, go, 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 go. And then they forget that they have donors that just gave to them that might be new. And so we see a huge opportunity for you on Giving Tuesday to reach out to donors that give to you, not only to thank them, but to deepen your connection with them and prompt them to take action further. So they're now a part of this campaign. They're a supporter. So how can you not only thank them for becoming a supporter, but actually activate them to help rally more people around your campaign? So this kind of sums up in a few different things that we think will help you think well as you plan your Giving Tuesday campaign, something we iterate over and over and over again here at CauseVox. But we think it's very important that anytime you're planning a fundraising campaign in today's new environment that we live in, is that you need to be human. You need to tell stories worth sharing, and you need to empower supporters to do something. And so this is really at the core of the people fundraising methodology, is that you're building relationships through trust that are based on trust and loyalty. You're inspiring them, you're activating them, and then you're rallying them to do something on behalf of the cause that you're fighting for in our world. So know that was a lot of information. Again, I'm going to send you the recording and the full slide deck so that you can review this further as you think through your campaign. I also want to send you a few other free Giving Tuesday resources. So we have a comprehensive guide to planning a Giving Tuesday campaign. So it's basically a written version that kind of walks you through that, gives you some best practices. I'm going to send you that in addition to the slides and the recording. We also want to help you manage your campaign and create your campaign. We see that if you can have a dedicated place for your campaign, especially on a day like Giving Tuesday, it's more helpful, and it's really hard to do that without a larger budget and more staff without CosVox. And so we want to help you launch your Giving Tuesday campaign for free on CosVox. You can easily design, launch, and manage your online fundraising campaigns using our software. And we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of nonprofits use CosVox to help run successful online fundraising campaigns. So we want to offer that to you. So we have a free 21-day trial that you can tap into as you think through how to plan your Giving Tuesday campaign. Now, if you have any questions, we're going to dive into those now for the next 15 or so minutes. But in addition to that, just so you know, we're actually going to, Rob's going to be coming on and joining us to share really a demo of how you can not only think well about what you've heard today, but how you actually can turn that into practice. So how can CosVox's fundraising tools really come alongside you and help you plan a successful Giving Tuesday campaign and actually execute it? We've designed our software specifically in a way that's built for today's ecosystem and is going to help you leverage the people fundraising methodology that we shared today. But for the next 15 or so minutes, I'm going to take some questions, and then Rob will be joining us if you want to stick around for that live demo. It'll be about 15 or 20 minutes. And he'll show you all you need to know about how you can use CosVox to run a successful Giving Tuesday campaign. So let's dive into these questions. So Linda says, what is your experience with turning Giving Tuesday into a Giving Week campaign? Linda, that is a great thought, and one that we've seen other organizations do really well. So they've actually organized their campaign to be a one-day event. But then after Giving Tuesday's over, they actually reach back out to all their Giving Tuesday Giving Tuesday supporters and fundraisers and advocates and actually rally them to say, hey, let's not stop today. Let's turn this into a bigger thing. We've also seen it work really well where they use Giving Tuesday as kind of a launch for their year-end fundraising campaign. So it's a way for them to kind of push their campaign, their appeal out to their community, inspire their community, activate their community, and then basically rally their supporters through Giving Tuesday all the way through year end on December 31st. And so they turn it into a larger campaign so that they can effectively mobilize and leverage the appeal that they're trying to raise for and end up raising more money because they have more time. So Lauren asks, do you suggest picking one program for the campaign versus general giving? This would be our first time. Lauren, what we've seen is that the more specific you can be, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to communicate your message. So especially on a day like Giving Tuesday, where you're really trying to focus in and kind of inspire, activate, and rally your community around a specific need, because it's only 24 hours, it's better to choose one program. So Megan asks, how do we determine a good financial goal for a small nonprofit trying this for the first time? Megan, it really depends on what you want to do. And so why are you fundraising? What are you fundraising for? And so once you figured that out, then what we recommend you doing is kind of backtracking from there. So if you're trying to raise, let's say you're trying to raise $100,000 in 2017 overall to build a new school or to expand your programs over and above what you did before. You might say, okay, well, maybe our organization's not going to be able to, take on that full goal, and maybe we don't because we have a lot of other fundraising efforts going on. But what you can do is say, okay, well, in this school, there's going to be this many classrooms. And so maybe one classroom estimated cost is going to be $5,000 of the whole. And so let's just rally our community around that goal. And I think what we've seen is the stronger the reason why behind your goal is, the more likely you are to actually reach your goal, because more people are going to be able to understand it. They're going to be inspired by the opportunity, and they're going to be more willing to activate and kind of share with their friends, share with their community. So Holly says, I'm just looking for a way to stand out from the crowd because everyone does Giving Tuesday, yet it never seems to really pull in a lot of revenue for us particularly. Seems difficult to compete, and also the concept doesn't seem to resonate with our audience. And so I think it's less about Giving Tuesday. So the other mistake we see, which I should have mentioned in the presentation, is that people focus too much on, oh, it's Giving Tuesday, give us money, and then forget that they actually have to have a reason why people should give. So Giving Tuesday in of itself is not a good enough reason for people to give. And so, Holly, you're probably doing this, and maybe your situation is a little bit different. But what we've seen is that if you can create a compelling reason of why people give, with the added benefit that Giving Tuesday is going on, and you're really focusing on inspiring your community, the people that are already surrounded around your cause, that's going to be the best way for you to leverage Giving Tuesday. So Lori says, how do you differentiate your organization on Giving Tuesday? I think this is another question that we get a lot, and one that really focuses again around you're not competing with the other organizations that are asking for money on Giving Tuesday. What you're doing is you're leveraging this as a day to speak into your community. And so it's saying, hey, there's a global day of giving around going on right now. We know that you want to be a part of our cause. And so in light of this day of global giving, let's all rally together and raise money for a specific need. And so it's less about competing against the other organizations, because again, I don't think Giving Tuesday is the best day to naturally acquire new donors just because it's Giving Tuesday. It's just a great reason to ask your community or to inspire your community to get behind your cause. And I think that's something that, again, is a misconception about Giving Tuesday. So Jill asks, do you have a suggested timeline available for email and social media communications? Jill, that's a great question. We're going to be coming out with that in probably in a month or so as we get closer to when people are typically diving into this even further. So we'll be sharing that soon. But typically what we see is that any time between 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time is when you start thinking through who you're going to target, who are you going to who are you going to reach into in your community and try to ask to be a part of your campaign. Because again, a lot of the work in a one-day campaign has to be done ahead of time. And so you're really kind of prepping. It's almost like practice. You're saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We want to inspire people to get a part of this. Once they do, we need to prep them and we need to rally and resource them. And then we need to continue to communicate with them throughout the campaign so that they know what to do throughout that day. They know how much success you've had, where you're at with your goal. You can use matching gifts to help build momentum even further. So usually this is somewhere between, you start planning now, but you start communicating with people anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks out so that you have enough time to get people on board, activated, and then rally them through the campaign. Heather says, we really struggle with storytelling. We protect, we have a very unique cause. How do we humanize that and connect with people? So Heather, I think it would be, why does what you're protecting matter? Like, there has to be a reason. And typically what we've seen is that even if the reasons are more environmental or even animal related, usually they have a human impact or a people impact that relates back to that. And so trying to figure out the way, like, why this is important, why do people even care about this? And kind of digging through and pulling the pieces apart of that, the answer to why. And I think that's when you'll start uncovering stories behind your cause, and be able to better communicate with to your audience why it's important. So it looks like that is most of the questions for today. Thank you guys for spending the time with us. Rob is going to be joining us now, and he's actually going to be talking through how you can turn some of the practical things that we talked about today into action. So not only once you've planned your campaign, but how do you actually execute that? And so Rob's going to join us to kind of walk through that live demo over the next 15 or 20 minutes. so that you can really see how an organization can run their Giving Tuesday campaign using CauseVox online fundraising tools. Rob?
Hey, Noah, thanks so much for the amazing presentation. I know we're just coming up in the beginning of August, and we're already talking about Giving Tuesday. So I think just based on how many people are here today, it's amazing to see how many people want to be well prepared for such a big day of giving. So what I want to do today in the next few minutes is to go over how you can turn these tips, these strategies, these tactics, and turn that into an actual fundraising campaign so you can see actual results. Because at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to help you raise more funds. So education is one component, but turning that into action is the next step. So what we do over here at CauseVox is we're a peer-to-peer fundraising platform or an online fundraising platform. What this means for you guys is that for Giving Tuesday is you can use CauseVox to easily launch a fundraising campaign without having to depend on your IT person, your developer, or anyone on the tech side. In addition, you don't have to depend on a marketer or a communications person. You can just do everything yourself on CauseVox. So instead of having to expand your headcount, instead of having to expand your budget, you can just use the CauseVox software for that. Just go over kind of CauseVox and what you can do with it. So once you're ready to launch a fundraising campaign, once you're ready to take these tips and turn them into actions, what you want to do is just go to CauseVox